What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna be talking about the things that I would like to see changed with Warzone to make it what I would consider the best BR of all time. Personally, it's already my favorite, but there's still a lot of things that I think a lot of people would agree with me on for what could be changed to make it even better. We're gonna talk about all that in this video. Quick mention: I'm wearing my Hope shirt. This was sent to me by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We did a charity stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/TrueGameData live, and I did it with all of my streamer friends. We had like 30 people come out to support that, and they all did their own streams, and we all pooled into the same money. I never made a follow-up video on it. I should have. I did a 24-hour stream, and we ended up raising like $17,000, and it was just awesome. I would love to be able to do that maybe once every couple months, so we're probably going to do it again here pretty soon because it's been about a month. And we'll pick various charities each time, but it's just something I would love to keep doing. So thank you to all of you who came out and helped support that last time. It was really just a great experience. So this video is going to be different than normal in that it's mostly just going to be me talking about stuff. I'm not going to have a whole lot to show. I might have some things to show, but the first thing I want to start with is anti-cheat. Cheating has become a huge problem in Warzone. It's a free-to-play game with no real anti-cheat. There's very basic anti-cheat where if they see a program that's running on your computer that is on a blacklisted list of programs, it'll shut the game down and won't let you launch the game. Obviously, that's incredibly easy to get around, though, so it's not really a true anti-cheat. And I know they've said there's technical reasons they can't really add an anti-cheat. I just really hope maybe in like the second iteration of Warzone, we will see a true anti-cheat implemented, whatever that may be when they update the graphics engine or whatever. But I recently played in a 2v2 quads tournament, or a 2v2 kill race tournament in quads, and it was supposed to be best of 3, but in 2 of the games we had cheaters and we had to restart because of cheaters. And it's just, when you play with a good high skill group right now, because of skill-based matchmaking, you're gonna get so many cheaters in your lobbies, and it's just, there's a lot of different things they could do to fix it. I mean, you don't even have to have anti-cheat. You can simply implement like I don't know what to call it, like threshold bans maybe, where if somebody has, you know, over a 30 KD for a 10 game span on average, just ban them, like, or you know, shadow ban them, put them in lobbies that are not just general public until you can confirm that they're actually cheating. But I mean, obviously a 30 KD for 10 matches, there's no one on the planet that has done that probably, so it would be pretty safe to do that. And you see people with 30, 50, 100 KDs in the lobbies I play in sometimes, and it's just like, why, how is that person not banned? And there are things they could do even with no actual programmed into the code anti-cheats, and I hope they're working on it. I have no idea. But that's the first thing I'm going to mention because I think that is one of the absolute biggest problems with Warzone right now. Another hot topic I want to talk about is skill-based matchmaking. Obviously, it will never remove skill-based matchmaking. There's a reason skill-based matchmaking exists, and that is that it brings more players in and it keeps players more engaged. They want more people to play the game because that makes them more money, and that's just how companies work. Being a 2.65 KD player, I hate skill-based matchmaking just as much as anybody. But I understand that it's not going to go away. It's something that they're going to keep. But I think there's some things they could do to make it a little more acceptable. And the main thing I want is a ranked mode. So I want a ranked mode with pretty strict skill-based matchmaking, kind of like, you know, Apex Legends has a ranked mode where you get points for your placement, and you get points based on different things. And if you each match costs a certain number of ranked points to get into, and then you have to try to get those points back by performing well. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it. But I just think having a really aggressive skill-based matchmaking rank mode, I would still play that even though there was skill-based matchmaking because I'd be trying to get a good rank. And then in pubs, so in what we have now, which is just general battle royale, you could make the skill-based matchmaking a little less strict maybe. So if you wanted to just chill out and have fun with your friends and you were a good player, you can just play regular battle royale. And then when you want to sweat it out and you want to try to get that high rank, you can go play ranked mode. And I think a lot of people would actually play ranked mode if it was done well. So I really think that's the only solution. They're never going to take skill-based out. Like I said, it's just a business decision. It's as simple as that. It makes them more money, and so they're going to keep it. So I think finding some ways to make it better for the player base without fully removing it is probably the the thing to do. One more thing, these are gonna be a little smaller topics. I've started with like the two big ones. I think if we're gonna have cross-platform play, everybody should be on the same playing field roughly. So I think it would be really nice for console players to have an FOV slider. I'm obviously a PC player, but I understand how frustrating it would be to have to play against PC players that had a way bigger area of visibility than you did. And I think the reason they probably don't have that is technical limitations, because the bigger the higher the FOV, the more has to be rendered, which is harder on the system. And Warzone's already so heavy that on the older generation consoles that are playing Warzone, it's probably they probably had to limit it to 80 so that it was only rendering so much to be able to hit the frame rates they wanted to hit. I don't think it's anything besides that, but maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe there's some other technical reasons that it's hard to do that on console. I honestly have no idea. All I'm saying is I really think if you're playing against PC players that have an FOV slider, you should also have an FOV slider. And hopefully on next-gen consoles and things like that, eventually we'll get that, but who really knows? I mean, obviously I have no control over that, but I'm just kind of talking about the things that I think would really help Warzone become a more balanced and just a better experience for everybody. And I think that would be really good. So talking about something that's a little bit more directly related to my channel, since my channel is all about weapon stats and things like that. I think currently with the way we have Cold War guns integrated with Modern Warfare guns, I think it's really strange and difficult to balance the guns when they have completely different attachments. They work completely differently, and it's like two different sets. So you have like a set of Modern Warfare attachments and a set of Cold War attachments, and they're completely different, and it makes it a little bit difficult to balance, I think. What I would have liked to see them do was bring in Cold War guns and maybe give them really similar attachments to the Modern Warfare guns. That would have made it a lot easier to balance and a lot easier to, compare two different guns. Whereas right now, because the Cold War guns have completely different attachments, it makes it a little harder, I think. Overall, the balance is pretty good right now. There are a few guns that could use some love. I think a few guns could use some nerfs as well, but overall, balance is pretty good right now. I don't have a whole lot of complaints about that. I think they've done a good job in the last couple patches, really leveling things out overall. One of my big complaints would be things like the M16 and the Stoner only having one barrel that increases bullet velocity. I hate when they balance a gun with bullet velocity. It's just not fun to use a gun with low bullet velocity where you can't hit your shots. You'd rather hit your shots and, do less damage than not be able to even hit your shots. So that's really frustrating to me. I feel like if the M16 had bullet velocity still, it would still be a good gun. But right now, it's like you can't even really use the M16 anymore. It's still okay, but it's just so bad up close. And the only way to get bullet velocity for range is to use the task force barrel, which just increases your recoil. So it's just in a weird spot. And the same with the Stoner. The only barrel that increases your bullet velocity on the Stoner, the RPD, and the M60 is the task force barrel, which also increases recoil. And I just don't know why they would do that. And I hate that they're balanced. Not they're balanced. I hate that they have different attachments than Modern Warfare guns, because if we had a long barrel that decreased recoil and increased bullet velocity like we do for all the Modern Warfare guns, for the Stoner and for the M16 and the AUG, all those guns would probably be viable right now. They probably wouldn't be OP. They'd probably just be viable. But I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever change that. They probably won't. And I also think maybe they're trying to somewhat phase out the Modern Warfare guns, because they can't. If you think about the future of Warzone, they can't just keep adding the new guns from every game that comes out. There's going to be they have to remove stuff eventually. They can't have 300 guns in the game. They're trying to balance at all times. So I don't know. I think that's maybe a topic for an entire other video, is talking about what I think they're going to do in the future of Warzone for removing guns and stuff like that. But it's also really annoying that the Cold War guns all just have way better mobility than the Modern Warfare guns right now. So that makes it really hard to use any of the Modern Warfare SMGs. Pretty much the only two you can use right now would be the MP5 and MP7. And even then, they don't have the mobility that the Cold War SMGs have. So you see a majority of Cold War guns right now. And that brings me back again to the thing I was just talking about. I think maybe that's part of the effort to make the Modern Warfare guns feel a little bit worse, just feel worse. In terms of TTKs and stuff, they're still kind of okay. They still line up. But because the mobility is so bad, the ADS strafe speed's so bad compared to the Cold War guns, I think maybe they're trying to just move people away from using Modern Warfare guns so they can remove them without people being too angry in the future. That's my tinfoil hat theory, but I have no idea. Obviously, there's still some really good Modern Warfare guns, like the MP5 is still really good. The M4 is really good. The Kar 98 obviously is excellent. There's a lot of good guns still, but I just kind of think that maybe they're trying to kind of phase out some of those guns. Another big topic that I think could use a lot of work would be the visibility in Verdansk. So they tried to help with this a little bit in one of the most recent updates. I don't remember when it was, but it was the update that made all the filters look really weird. Maybe that was when we went back to the 1984 version of Verdansk. But I just think they should do whatever they did to the Rebirth map, because the Rebirth map now looks great. Visibility is good, colors are good, everything's clear. Whereas on Verdansk, everything is just still kind of murky and hard to see in dark areas, and the way the lighting changes when you come inside to outside, it seems to be way better on Rebirth. I don't know why that is, but so since I was talking about the differences between Rebirth and Verdansk, I thought I would just kind of drop into Verdansk and drop into Rebirth as well, and show you kind of what I'm talking about. So this is Verdansk. Obviously it's very colorless and very when you have anti-aliasing on, which I believe console does all the time, it's very murky, and the transition going from inside to outside can be really difficult to see sometimes. So if I like looking in there, like it's almost impossible to see in that room. Coming inside, it's really dark over there, and then it brightens up, and it doesn't seem like that happens nearly as badly on Rebirth. We'll jump over and look at that in a second, but it's just really annoying on Verdansk specifically. It seems to be much worse, and it's the same when you're looking outside from inside. It can be blinding sometimes. That's another thing I want to talk about in this video is the sun. Can we nerf the sun, please? Like, it's if you're fighting down sun, you have a huge advantage over the other team because it's so hard to see into the sun right now. And this video is going to come out after the patch because I had to get the ad approved and everything from NordVPN, so it's going to come out after the patch. I think this is something they're actually working on, is the sun, so hopefully by the time this video comes out this will be changed. But right now trying to fight into the sun is just a nightmare. Alright, so just giving a quick comparison, this is what Rebirth looks like. Rebirth Resurgence, everything's just really clear, really colorful. And lighting inside seems to be much better as well. Transitioning from outside to inside just seems to be better to me. I don't know why. Maybe there's just more lights in Rebirth. But either way, whatever they've done to Rebirth, I really just think they should do to Verdansk as well. I have no complaints at all with the visibility and lighting on Rebirth compared to Verdansk. It's much better all around. And that'd be... I mean, I have no idea. I shouldn't say that. I was going to say it would be easy for them to do that, but I have no clue what kind of technical things that would take. All I know is I think it would be worth it. I think it would make Warzone a much better game. It's a constant complaint from people is not being able to see a rose skin when they're sitting in the corner in a dark area still, even after all the changes they've made. So I just think that would be a great change for them to make to Verdansk. So something else, I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about this. Something else I think would be a great change for every part of Warzone, so Rebirth, Verdansk, both, would be an increase to your base health and a decrease to how much plates give you. Because right now it's like, if you have no plates, you have no chance against somebody who's full plate unless you completely 100% surprise them. I think raising the TTKs of the game overall would be great. Obviously this would totally screw with their balance. I think they balance off TTKs just based on how things are balanced right now. So if you ended up with a 300 health total or something like that, that would probably mess with their balance quite a bit. But I just think that would be better overall. Increased TTKs would increase the skill ceiling, as well as it would also make it so that when you had no plates, you had a slightly better chance of winning a fight than having no plates. It's just right now it's like if you have no plates, you're just an insta kill, it feels like, for the other team, and I don't like that. I'd like to at least have a chance. I just don't think plates should make you that much better than having no plates. And I think other games have balanced this a little bit better than that too. I'm not an expert on other games, but I think in Apex, overall, the health to shield ratio most of the time, unless you have maybe like the red shields or something, is better than Warzone in terms of base health over the armor value. So that's just something that I've thought about a lot. I think it would make it a lot better if we brought it up to like 150 health, and maybe plates still do 50, or maybe plates do 40 or something. Just because of the reasons I just said. All right, a few more things that I think could be changed. These are all smaller but still important. Stopping power, dead silence. I like both of them. They're very frustrating when they're used against you. But it's another thing where it helps them with the skill ceiling, and it helps certain players do better. And I enjoy using a good dead silence play. Like, that's fun. I just think it should be something a little more special than it is right now, where same with self-res, dead silence, stopping power. If we just, you know, cut the spawn rate of those three things down to like 30% of what they are now, make it a much more rare thing to get, I think that would be a lot better. I think they're fun to use. Stopping power to me is not very fun to use, but a good dead silence play is really satisfying. It's obviously really annoying when it gets done to you, but I just think reducing the spawn rate of those things would be really nice. And I think they have reduced the spawn rate of self-res a little bit. It seems like that's not in boxes nearly as much as it used to be, but stopping power, dead silence still seem like they're all over the place. Maybe stopping power was reduced a little bit, but I always have dead silence in games, so that's one thing I'd like to see reduced. Another small thing that's super annoying, and I don't understand why it hasn't been changed since the game came out like almost a year and a half ago now, is the gas mask animation. Everybody I know has been killed by the gas mask animation at the end of the game 1,000 times. Just make it happen automatically. It doesn't have to be realistic. We don't have to use our hands to pull the gas mask down. Just let us use our gun like normal. It doesn't have to be realistic. Just pretend like we're wearing the gas mask as soon as we pick it up, I guess, would be my thing. It's just super, super, super frustrating to be killed by that animation at the end of the game, especially when you're trying to clutch something up. And it's just, I don't know why it hasn't been changed since the very start of the game. I think the very last thing I want to talk about is stun grenades. I think stun grenades are incredibly frustrating for both PC players and controller players. Obviously, JGod and a lot of people have covered how aim assist really helps with stuns, but PC players have enough advantages. I don't care about that. That's not a big thing to me. I just think stuns are too good in general. It's very, very, very frustrating to be stunned and just have no chance in a fight. So I just hate stuns, and I think they should either be nerfed or removed completely. Obviously, people could use flashes, but even flashes, you have a better chance than stuns, because on a PC, if there's somebody to your left or somebody comes around a corner after they've stunned you, you just simply can't turn. There's nothing you can do. You can't aim at them. If you get flashed, you can at least start spraying and maybe hit them if you know the general direction of where you were looking and where they're coming from. But with stuns, you just literally have no chance, and that's not good gameplay. That's just purely frustrating. And they're just way too good. I just think they need a nerf or be removed in general. All right, everybody. I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to talk about. I'm sure I missed some things that people are frustrated by. A couple other small things. Rooftops that only have one point of entry, like the air traffic control tower. I just think that's bad design. I don't know why they would do that. Makes no sense to me. And it would be an easy fix, especially when they went to Verdansk 84. They could have fixed that so easily, but I don't think they're going to change that, or they already would have. But I pretty much talked about everything that I could think of that I wanted to see changed, and I think all of these changes will be positive for the game, and I think it would still keep the game popular. The reason they don't do a lot of these things, especially when I was talking about skill-based, is just because they want the largest player base they can have, and that makes sense from a business perspective. They want to make the most money they can, and alienating anyone from the player base is a problem. So if a bad player gets in a lobby with good players, that makes them not enjoy the game, so they don't want that. So that's why skill-based exists. Obviously, it's kind of like the better the player, the more they're going to want to play, probably, even with skill-based. So there's pretty strict skill-based in the game at this point, and everybody's still playing. So we complain about it, but we still play. So if we're still playing, they're going to leave it, and nobody's going to stop playing because we all like the game, obviously. Most of the time. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about pretty much. Mostly just a talking head video. I just wanted to give you my perspective on what I think could be improved at the game. Obviously, I love Warzone. I've been covering Warzone for a little over a year and a month at this point. It's been literally my life for that time. TrueGameData, I've been all in on it since the start. And I would like to continue doing that. So I just thought I'd give my perspective on what I thought could be improved. Thank you all again for supporting the charity stream for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Like I said, we're going to be doing another one of those pretty soon. Probably another 24-hour stream or something along those lines to try to raise some money for another good cause. As always, if you guys like the content, consider dropping that thumbs up, comment, sub if you want to see more. I hope you guys all have a great day, great week, great month, great year, and I will see you in the next video.